Today on AMR, Trump's expansive tariff sparks global backlash, economic turmoil, and also unlikely victims including penguins. Nintendo delays U.S. pre-orders for the Switch 2 amid tariff uncertainty. And Justice Department placed attorney on leave who struggled to explain why a Maryland man was deported. And Bianca Ray and Megyn Kelly spoke at a youth town hall event. Our team got exclusive coverage, and I even got to ask Megyn a question. Plus, the Tate brothers may be under federal investigation in the U.S., according to court filings. TikTok's deal scrambles because Trump's tariffs on China, what that means, plus the extended deadline Trump gave TikTok. I'm Anthony Martinez, and here's my report. Welcome back to AMR. We're glad to have you back. President Donald Trump's sweeping tariff announcement this past week has sent shockwaves around the globe, with it reaching so many countries, even remote islands, in a move framed as retaliation against what Trump describes as unfair foreign trade practices. The administration imposed broad tariffs affecting over 180 countries and regions, rattling the financial market, alarming retirees, and drawing criticism from allies and advisors alike. Trump's new tariff plan imposes a significant charge and change on wide array of imports, including 20% tariff on goods from the European Union. The U.S. president is justifying the actions as an economic revolution designed to bring manufacturing back to American soil. So now, the idea of bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. isn't entirely a good or bad idea, but it's a little more complex than that. It does raise a very important question on: will Trump keep the tariffs in place, especially considering that it could take 3 to 5 years, and who knows, even longer, to build a manufacturing plant here in the U.S., and assuming companies even want to move their manufacturing plant or add another one into the U.S., given how uncertain the future looks, meaning the promise of lowering prices from the Trump campaign might not happen anytime soon. But that's something we'll have to closely look at as we continue to see where the administration figures on tariffs and how they're going to manage to lower prices within the next 4 years. But the market also had a big reaction, immediate change on Thursday and Friday. The S&P 500 tumbled nearly 11% over 2 days. The Nasdaq dropped more than 11.5%, and the Dow fell over 4,000 points. These were some of the largest single-week decline since the early days of COVID-19. The domestic fallout has been particularly unsettling for Americans nearing retirement. Many are seeing years of saving wiped out in just days. Retirees and older workers are expressing growing anxiety and concern over how the economic instability could have an impact on the remainder of their lives. Paula, 68, a former health professor in New Jersey, described the situation as quote-unquote a vicious cycle. According to the AARP data, 1 in 5 Americans over 50 have no retirement savings at all, and more than half are worried they won't have enough to support them throughout their retirement. But that isn't the bizarre part of the tariffs. Amidst of Trump's policies on tariffs, he is also arguing that the U.S. needed to impose these tariffs because, according to him, other countries have been ripping us off. In a recent announcement from the White House, a list of tariffs that were applied broadly to basically over 180 countries, including islands like the Heard and McDonald's Islands. If you don't know, these islands are located in Antarctica and have no human population there. The islands are managed by Australia, and Australia did get a 10% tariff, but without humans there, we do not have anything importing or exporting. So why did they get a 10% tariff? Who knows? But since nobody lives there, the only animals or species there are seals, but mostly penguins. So now the real question is, will the penguins be protesting against Trump and his tariff on those islands? Marine geophysics Mike Coffin, who spent decades researching the region, expressed astonishment at the policies between those islands. But even with Trump's inner circle, the tariff policies have drawn Elon Musk to suggest, let's calm down a bit. Elon Musk, who has been serving as a close advisor to the president, broke ranks over the weekend, advocating for free trade instead. Speaking at a conservative conference in Italy, excuse me. Musk said he hoped for a zero tariff situation between Europe and North America, envisioning a future of freer movement of goods. European leaders have signaled that they are preparing to countermeasure, though, as Trump doubles down on his what he describes as a necessary correction of decades of trade abuse. The world is watching nervously. Allies and U.S. Americans seeing the market crash and go down. Retirees anxious about what the future of the retirement looks like. And perhaps the strangest plot twist yet, the penguins that are caught in the crossfire of the global economic policy. Whether this strategy leads to a golden age of the economics or a very consequential downfall for the U.S. economy, the administration is very, very focused and very happy with the tariffs in place. And Nintendo has postponed pre-orders for its upcoming Switch 2 console in the United States due to concerns over Trump's tariffs. Originally scheduled to begin accepting orders on April 9th, the company says it will wait to assist the 24% tariff on Japanese imports, saying that the goods could be affecting the price. Despite the delay, Nintendo insists that the console's June 5th launch remains unchanged. The Switch 2 is priced currently at $449.99, with its boost upgrade hardware to be capable with major third-party titles like NBA. Price of the imports could go up. Industry analysts warn that these tariffs could push retail prices significantly higher, making the system less affordable for everyday consumers, saying, and quote, if you're making $15 or $20 an hour, $600 console becomes a serious stretch. This sudden delay has disappointed many American fans who were eagerly waiting for Nintendo's next generation of its popular franchise like Mario Kart and the console. Nintendo has promised to provide updates for pre-orders as soon as possible as it continues to moderate the trades and development of the tariffs. A Justice Department lawyer has been placed on administrative leave after suggesting in a court to explain how the Trump administration's deportation of Kilmar Abrigo Garcia, a legal U.S. resident, was sent to El Salvador in what the government later called an administrative error. During a hearing on Friday, the lawyer admitted he lacked key information about the case and expressed frustration with his superiors. In quote, I have no answers, end quote. That's what he told the U.S. District Judge. What we are learning is that Garcia, who lived in Maryland since 2011, was protected from deportation by a 2019 immigration court ruling. He was sent to prisons in El Salvador on March 15 under the Trump administration. Despite the administration claims linking him to MS-13, Garcia's lawyer says he has no criminal records and fled El Salvador to escape gang violence. The judge has ordered the government to return him home, back to the U.S. by tonight. The Trump administration is now challenging the order in a federal appeals court. Now, last Monday, Bianca Ray and Megyn Kelly spoke to a group of students at a youth town hall here in the Valley. Before the speech, I caught up with Bianca Ray to talk about what we could expect from the event and also about her annual Ray of Hope retreat, which serves students around the Valley. You're going to speak here tonight prior to Megyn Kelly. Tell me, how does that feel, and what can you tell us about your speech beforehand?
Well, my goodness, it's very exciting just to be in the same room with her, and it's an honor, of course, to be asked to speak before her, just to be in that conversation. I'm very grateful. As a journalist, of course, there are many great journalists that you look up to, right? And she's definitely created quite an incredible career, and she's an incredible interviewer. I've always been very impressed by her ferocious interviews and ability to ask tough questions. So that's something I've long admired about her. And I'm excited here to talk to some of the students today a bit about my journey, both professionally and philanthropically. And I think just, share a little bit of the wisdom, if you will. I'm 36, so I guess I could say I have wisdom now. I want to share some of the wisdom I've learned over my career so far and in my life so far that have really helped shape me. And like I say, if two people can feel inspired, and if it helps anybody, I'd be so grateful.
Tell me, have you spoken to Megyn, or do you know what to expect from her, and is it a little nerve-wracking to speak beforehand?
Yeah, I've never met her. I'm very excited. Yeah, it's funny. I always get a little butterflies public speaking, even though I teach that too. I have a media training and communication training company. But speaking in person is always a little adrenaline inducing, right? Cameras, you don't see the reaction of the people behind the camera. But when it's in person, you can see somebody yawn or check their camera, their watch, or check their phone. So no, but it's mostly just excitement to get to talk to the kids, and I'm very much eager to meet her and hear her speak, and I would love if she got to catch a little bit of the end of what I'm saying as well.
You said you were going to talk about your Bianca Ray Foundation. Last time we spoke in an exclusive interview was the 8th annual. We're heading into the 12th.
Yes, time has flown, and I hope you're going to be there. We'll give you another exclusive. And I'm so excited. It's October 4th, and this year it's going to be at the Palm Springs Convention Center. So we are moving on up. We've got a really big new home, and I'm so excited to be able to formally introduce that to the new generation of Ray of Hope attendees as well.
When can we expect news of public announcement?
About the retreat? Great question. Probably within the next few weeks. I'm working on getting some digital elements and graphics created so we can kind of do a marketing rollout to officially, formally spread the word.
Back to your journalism career. Tell us, how long have you been in the field, and what is next for you in journalism? And plus, with your foundation, what do you hope to connect with both?
I've been a journalist for 15 years, and I recently left local television to utilize the 15 years that I was interviewing celebrities, politicians, and everybody in between to leverage that and create my own company. I created BR Media. It's a media and communication training company. So now I'm able to take what I've learned in my career and teach it to people, which has just been beyond fascinating, and building a new muscle being a businesswoman as well. I've really been enjoying that. I also still host a TV show out here in Palm Springs. It's called The Pulse, airing every other Thursday at noon on CBS Local 2. And the Bianca Ray Foundation, my goal is for it just to keep growing. I mean, we have a big new horizon ahead of us moving to the Palm Springs Convention Center. I mean, when I say the sky is the limit because you could truly just grow beyond belief there. So I think it's just finding that balance of how much and how soon we want to grow and seeing where that takes us.
Tell us, what is the connection of the Coachella Valley? Were you born here? Now you have moved you worked at KCAL, and you continue to come back not only for your foundation but youth town halls. Tell us about what the Coachella Valley means, and was this your home?
So I was born in the Midwest, a suburb outside of Chicago, and then I came to Palm Springs here when I was 22 up until about 30, so about almost 9 years I was here, and this was the most formative part of my life, truly. I felt like I grew up here. Personally, I grew so much. Professionally, I mean, my working at KESQ really is what was able to catapult me and launch me to Los Angeles, the #2 media market. So I'm forever rooted here. My heart is rooted here. And of course, my nonprofit is rooted here. So I feel like I will always come back to the desert. It feels like a little home of sorts. My mom and dad retired here. So even though I don't live here anymore, I live in Orange County, my nonprofit is based here. My mom and dad live here. And really, my heart is here.
I mean, we are excited to see your speech, and Megan's too. We hope the best, and we'll see you at the Bianca Ray Foundation retreat. Students arrived at the Renaissance Esmeralda Resort, checked in, and grabbed a meal before the event began. As me and my team walked around and spoke to a few attendees about how they were feeling going into the event and hearing from Bianca Ray and Megyn Kelly. Tell us, what brought you to the event today?
So I'm a youth emeristus. So basically, I was an ambassador last year, and so I just come to these events to help organize and help students gather them, lead discussions and ask questions. I really enjoy doing this because there's so many open-minded peers, and just getting to hear the speakers is just so inspirational.
So I'm here as an ambassador. I'm an ambassador for Youth Town Hall. So I've been to the past 3 events. This is the 4th and last one of the 2025 Desert Town Hall. And what brings me here is all of the events have been about me wanting to gain more knowledge and being able to especially interact with like-minded peers, as there are about 75 applicants and only about a dozen or so are chosen, 15, 16. And it's really nice to be able to mingle and share ideas and sort of seminar with all of these people about different topics. All of the events I've covered different topics, and we've been able to share our ideas and really gain more knowledge about what the speakers are saying, and take what we can from other ambassadors and give what we can to other people based on our past experiences. And it's also really fun and really nice to be able to sit in an event that usually I wouldn't be able to access.
Well, I do speech and debate. It's a form of I do STOA. It's for homeschooled speech and debate students, where we learn a lot about politics and how to develop our own views. And so when I heard that Megyn Kelly was coming into town, I was super excited because I like to hear what she thinks about certain stuff and definitely get to hear a different kind of perspective. So I'm super excited to hear it tonight.
Tell us, what brought you to the event tonight?
So I'm actually a docent for the Desert Town Hall series. I volunteer so I can be more involved to see all the amazing speakers as well as be here for the students.
Tell me, tonight Bianca Ray and Megyn Kelly speak. Tell us how you feel about that. Are you excited? And what do you hope they talk about?
I've heard that they're more. I don't really know much about Bianca Ray, but I do know that Megyn Kelly is a sort of political commentator. It'll be interesting to learn about somebody with different political views than mine, as I don't really align myself with what she tends to represent in the media. However, it will be really interesting to be able to learn and potentially change my views on certain topics if I like what I hear.
Yeah, I'm super excited to hear what they have to say. They're extremely inspirational people, Bianca Ray and Megyn Kelly, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say and be able to gain insight. It's always so interesting.
What do you hope to take away from the event once the night finishes?
Probably to learn something new. I feel like I always learn something new from these events. It's just nice, broadening my, my perspective on things and my knowledge.
I love it when students I can see them do the aha in their eyes and so forth, so I'm hoping to see a lot of those, oh my gosh, that makes sense, in those types of moments.
Bianca Ray speaking. I know she's a friend of yours, and she has worked with the Bianca Ray Foundation with you. Tell us, what do you know anything about her speech, and what should we expect?
Oh, geez, I spoke to her the other day. She didn't give me any inkling about what she's going to talk about. But if I know Bianca, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be about leadership. It's going to be about having good communication skills and being effective as being your best self. Yeah.
Have you been a part of the previous events this year? And tell us, what have those speakers talked about, and who were they?
So I'll highlight one. I was a student at the University of Buffalo in the 90s, and one of the speakers at the time who came out here to speak, Mitch Albom, was there as a speaker when he was advertising and promoting his book Tuesdays with Maury. And I got to see him as a student, and then I got to see him now as an adult. So 20 plus years in between, I got to see him, and he was absolutely amazing.
This is the first time you're going to be meeting Megyn Kelly, and are you excited about that? Are you excited her speech?
I just met her on stage. I'm very excited what she has to say. Some of the times, I'll just say sometimes it's controversial, sometimes it's not. So I'm excited to hear what she has to say for the community here.
Bianca Ray, a former TV news anchor and reporter and founder of the Bianca Ray Foundation, is a proud supporter of RightNow News as well. Spoke ahead of Megyn Kelly. She shared her journey as a journalist and why she ultimately walked away from local television to start her own business. Then, Megyn Kelly made her entrance.
I know if you're 15 or 16, you were probably maybe, 5 or 6 or so when I was here, so I don't know if you watched the local news, but I was the morning news anchor for KESQ for many years, and loved every bit of what essentially catapulted and started my career here in the desert. And then it was about 5 or 6 years ago I left, went to Los Angeles. I finally made that jump to the #2 media market. So media, obviously we're a big media night tonight, right? Hearing from Megyn later, which I'm so excited to hear that. But Los Angeles is #2, right? New York is #1, Chicago #3, and so on. And I always wanted to get to the Los Angeles market, so I got a TV agent, made that jump to Los Angeles. From there, I was the evening news anchor for Spectrum News, covering very hard-breaking news from school shootings to wildfires, you name it. But also, I covered a lot of entertainment coverage. I was on pretty much every red carpet in the book, from the Oscars to the Grammys to the Golden Globes, interviewing some of the biggest celebrities and stars in the world, which was such a dream. And I left Spectrum then and went over to CBS Los Angeles, where I freelance reported for a bit. But I actually recently left local television and made an exciting new adventure for myself. It was about 1.5 years ago, I was taking inventory of a 15-year career of interviewing, like I said, celebrities, politicians, and everybody in between. I was honestly seeing the journalism landscape changing a lot, which if any of you have questions about, you could ask me, and I'd be happy to talk about that during the Q&A. But I saw the landscape changing a lot. I didn't necessarily love where I felt like it was going. I also admittedly was wanting to take a bit more ownership of my life and my schedule and have optionality, and
I felt that the only way to do that is to be a businesswoman and make my own schedule work for myself. And so I started VR Media. It's a media communication training company. And I do still host a TV show out here in Palm Springs. It's called The Pulse on CBS Channel 2. So it's fun to still get to be on television in that capacity.
Is that what got you started in journalism and what kind of motivated you to pursue this career?
Thank you for that. The question is what got me started in journalism. And I was a lawyer first. I practiced law for 9 years, just over, and I loved that. And I do recommend law school and the practice of law even to anybody out there who wants to shore up their ability to argue, to public speak, and really just to hold their own when under withering attack. Because that's really what you do, especially as a litigator, and that experience was invaluable, and there's no substitute for it. You know, just going into court, having your opposing counsel call you an idiot, having to have an answer in front of a judge. There's no do-over, just like TV. There's no do-over. You know, you're live, you gotta make it happen. And so I loved that, and it really did build a lot of skills for me, but I was really unhappy by the end of it. It was just a big grind. Most lawyers would tell you it's a massive grind. There's really no time off. So in any event, when I decided to leave it, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go back and consider that first career I thought I wanted to do as a high school sophomore when I took one of those aptitude tests, what should you be when you grow up? And mine said, political journalist. And I rejected it. You know why I rejected it? I went to Syracuse, which has a very good broadcast journalism school, the Newhouse School, which rejected me. And you should all know that I bombed my SATs. I was like a B+ student. I did not get into the Newhouse School at Syracuse University. I got accepted in the political science school, so I went there. I thought I'd transfer over to Newhouse. I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do poli-sci. So if you bomb your SAT, do not worry. You still have a bright future ahead as long as you bust your butt once you actually get into college and every opportunity thereafter. It's much more about how hard you work and the opportunities you do get as opposed to your whole life riding on these few years, these stupid tests.
As you saw, both Bianca Ray and Megyn Kelly answer questions from students and guests about their career and personal experience. I also got the chance to ask Megyn Kelly about her latest venture, expanding her show into a media company. Take a look.
Hi, Megyn.
Hi.
So you recently talked to the Times, and you talked about your time at Fox News, then later at NBC, which was around a year before your firing, which later would lead to you creating a podcast and now a media brand. Tell us about MK Media and what the future is. I know you announced a few shows with new hosts. And what are the premise of each show? Are they all politically based, or is it going to be open to other discussions?
Thank you for that. Yeah, so we just announced that we're going to expand the MK show into a podcast network where I'm bringing on other podcasters who I know and like and helping them elevate their voices and get a bigger following and hotter shows, and we're going to produce them and sort of show them how to do it. You know, there are a lot of really talented people out there who are just not getting their product out there very well, and you know, after 5 years in this business, we've learned how to do it, how to get your message heard. It could be great, but if you're just saying it into the ether and nobody hears it, it's not that great. So the first 3 that we announced are Link Lauren. Do you guys know who that is? Because he's a young guy. You guys might like him. He's on the right. He's completely fabulous. I love him. And he's got more of a young following, like high school guys tend to love Link. He's conservative, and but he's center right. He's not like far right. He's like, if you're a Democrat or you grew up in a Democrat family and you're just kind of sticking your toe into the fair and balanced waters, Link might be the man for you. So I think he's great because he's young and he's going to attract a lot of young viewers and listeners who are even just like Republican adjacent. And then Maureen Callahan is our other, well, so far we've announced 3, but we have a bunch of deals in the process. But Maureen, you guys got to listen to Maureen Callahan on anything related to Megyn Markle. It's important. She lives in your state. How'd you get stuck with her? She's not that far from here. Anyway, she does all sorts of culture, and she's a columnist for the Daily Mail with just an acerbic wit, and she just says things that you never hear from everybody else. You know how like when you're watching cable news, and you hear these talking points that you've heard from everybody, and that's how you decide who's boring and who's not. She's never boring. She never says something that you've heard elsewhere. So she'll be doing a culture show called The Nerve, which is perfect for her, because she's both got it and zings them. And then Mark Halpern is our third person who we're launching with in no particular order. And he's just a politics guru. He knows everything about politics. He's got impeccable sources. He's the one who broke that Biden was about to step down and giving it to Kamala. And he'd been reporting on that story for weeks, of course, when the mainstream had ignored it, with real, we'd all been reporting on Biden's infirmity, those of us on independent media and on the right. But he had actual facts about what was happening at the White House. And that's just Halpern. He spent 20 plus years at ABC News. He got canceled during the Me Too era and then got canceled again for the same original sins. He's paid twice now for the first, alleged sins. And he's back, and he should be back because he's a really important voice in the conversation. And I'm thrilled to help him get his voice back out there. We need guys like that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've asked a lot of questions over the last 4 years doing Right Now News, and I'm usually nervous doing them, especially depending on who the person is or what the topic is. But I was genuinely surprised when I got called to ask Megyn Kelly a question. I was nervous to raise my hands at first. I was like, oh, what should the question be? Ultimately talking about what MK Media is going to be with her recent launch of that. But it was nerve-wracking as the microphone was getting passed to me. But then as I started speaking, it just slipped out. I feel like it didn't seem like I was that nervous. I might be wrong. It wasn't a perfect question, but it came along together decently well, I will say. After the speech, we spoke with a few more attendees who shared how they were open to hearing different perspectives and what Megyn had to say. So tell us, what brought you to the event tonight, and how excited were you to see Bianca Ray and Megyn Kelly speak?
So it was actually my history teacher that had kind of brought us into this. I was honestly pretty excited to see Megyn Kelly because my family members have watched her on the news, and I've seen her on the news, and I've seen how she speaks, and I thought it would be really interesting to see her.
Same thing for me. My history teacher invited me, and I didn't really know who Megyn Kelly was, but hearing her speak was very good. You could tell she's a good speaker.
Night.
My mom signed me and my two other siblings up. One of us didn't come here because he got sick, but yeah, it was a really interesting event, and I really wanted to come.
Yes, of course. So we're actually youth ambassadors, so we got to be here today. But yeah, it was exciting to hear a different perspective on more of a left side in the political spectrum. So it was very interesting to hear some of her views.
So I as well am also a youth ambassador, and it was really good hearing a different perspective of a political party and just to see how other people have a point of view on the world.
What have you taken away from Megyn's speech? Is there anything you're going to take home?
Yes, I think definitely. I feel like standing up for what you believe in, because although your ideas could be strong, some other people will come and try to destroy those values and those ideas. So I think it's very important to stay firm and stand on business in order to stay with what you believe in. It's important to do it.
Sorry. So I as well agree with Brisa. I feel like you have to stand up for what you believe is right and what you really put your mind into, and just to make sure that your ideas are being heard and seen, and really showing to the world that what you do is really what you love and what you care for.
Tell us, what have you taken away from the speech, and what are some things you learned?
I really liked how she spoke about trans youth, because that's something that I feel very strongly on, and I liked how her views were stated so clearly, and her words she used, you can tell she's very educated, and I just love, it's very inspirational.
I honestly just you could tell that she knew her facts, and she is open-minded, definitely open-minded, and just knew what she was talking about. A lot of people are closed-minded and don't really know what they're talking about.
I think I've probably taken away that it's definitely a very challenging area, but it also seemed to be a very enjoyable thing for both of the speakers today.
We returned to the ballroom for a taped interview with Megyn Kelly that aired during the final hour of the event. Much of the conversation echoed what she shared during the live conference, but it also featured clips throughout her career, including her clash with President Trump and her surprising endorsements and appearance at his final 2024 campaign. It was also a packed evening of stories, questions, and students left with a lot to think about. Whether they agree with Megyn or not, they had an open perspective, that's for sure. Now let's move on to the Tate brothers, who both Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, who are already facing human trafficking charges in Romania, may be under federal investigation in the U.S. According to a new court filing that was filed in Florida, the motion has been filed on behalf of 4 anonymous individuals being sued by the brothers for defamation. Have also asked to pause the civil case until a potential Department of Justice investigation concludes. The filing suggests the Tate brothers are being investigated by the U.S. Attorney Office of Southern District of New York, though the office has not confirmed or commented on the matter. The brothers' attorney dismissed the filing as a legal tactic to delay the defamation case. The Tates were indicted in Romania in 2023 on charges of human trafficking, trafficking of minors, and money laundering, which they have denied. In the recent visit to the U.S., it has sparked new allegations, including a reported accusation of sexual assault involving Andrew Tate at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Known for their controversy online presence, the Tate brothers have attracted international attention for their views on gender and masculinity. Of course, the department did not give a comment yet, and this is something we'll continue to be eyeing on, especially since they were already in court in Romania, and now seeing that possibility in the U.S. too, and what they could face if found guilty or if not. President Trump announced Friday that he has extended the deadline for TikTok's parent company ByteDance to sell the app's U.S. operations by 70 days, saying a potential ban. The move comes amid complications caused by Trump's tariffs on China, which have reportedly caused Chinese officials to pause the deal and its approval. Trump said a deal transfer for TikTok's U.S. operations to American ownership was very close but needed more time. ByteDance had until April 5th, this past weekend, to comply with the 2024 law requiring the sale to non-Chinese buyers or face a ban. But the Trump executive order now allows negotiations to continue without any disruption to the TikTok U.S. service. ByteDance has not confirmed if it plans to sell a version of it to the U.S., but did state Friday that, quote, key matters remained unsolved. The delay follows reports that China rejected the deal after Trump's tariffs went into effect, proposing that the U.S. to seek border negotiation involving both TikTok and trade policy. Vice President J.D. Vance, who has been leading the negotiations, had said earlier in the week that the deal announcement was at hand by many interested buyers, including Amazon, AppLovin, and Reddit's co-founder. TikTok has roughly 170 million U.S. users and has faced ongoing scrutiny over national security concerns tied to Chinese data access. So the future of TikTok still uncertain what will happen, but what we know so far, the ban did not happen on the day as the 2024 law has said, and another 75 days with the app and see what changes happens. Will it be banned? Will an American company purchase it? And if so, will TikTok be the same? Its algorithm, it's built a lot to see what happens with the platform. But that does it for this AMR and for this Monday. I'm Anthony Martinez, and thank you for watching. We'll see you on another edition of AMR next week for more stories, more reports. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up, share the video. And if you want more content, follow us on social media at _RightNow News, or follow me directly at Tony Martinez Now. Anthony Martinez Reports is a RightNow News signature production, copyright 2025, RightNow News.